Coach Byrd, what was your mindset heading into the OVC Championship game last season against Murray State? Universally regarded as one of the top games in college basketball last season, but based on the high drama in the semifinal round, it could have easily been Morehead State, Eastern Kentucky in the final.
Sure. Well, when you get to conference tournament play, it's even more unpredictable, I think, than regular season, and teams are fighting for their life, and you're right, it could just as easily have been two other teams in that game. But going into the Murray game, I think we all knew how good they were. We had not been competitive with them on their floor last year in that game, and but we were a better team by the time we played them the second time, and I think we felt like we could give ourselves a chance.
And Taylor, the game against Murray State during the regular season did not go the Bruins' way. The Racers got rolling offensively, and the inside players really hurt Belmont. What was the coaching staff emphasizing heading into the championship game?
Yeah, I mean, I think we ended up getting beat, Coach, by like 20 down there. But we made a lot of adjustments, I think. I think it maybe ended up benefiting us that they did get the best of us at their place. We got the film. Coach made a lot of adjustments, inside and outside. The way we defended and the way we ran our offense against their defense. So it really benefited us, I think. It made us hungrier to beat them, obviously, because we had a bitter taste in our mouth going into playing them the second time. So I think that really helped us out.
And Coach Byrd, what sense were you getting from the team during pregame warm-ups and the final talk before the game?
Look, when you're playing a team that is that good, and maybe I shouldn't even say this, but sometimes you're worried. You're worried that what happened at Murray is going to happen, that you're not going to be competitive in a championship game, in a nationally televised game, so I was confident that we were a better team, but we knew who we were playing. So sometimes, and I think it's healthy. Sometimes I look at worst case scenarios and sort of work from there in terms of making a game plan, and yet, I didn't. Of all the big games that we've won over the years, going to North Carolina and winning, way back going to Missouri, I didn't necessarily expect to win those games going into them. But that doesn't change the way you prepare. That doesn't change the way that you play. And I think when you play a really good team, and you get into the second half, and it's anybody's game, then by the scoreboard, then it really is anybody's game when it comes to how the players feel about whether they can win or lose.
Taylor, were you nervous going into that game?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was nervous, but it wasn't like a bad nervous. It was, an excitement. It was the OVC Championship game. It was Saturday night. It's nationally televised. I think we were all just really excited, and we were excited to play Murray State again and get our revenge because they beat us by 20. We wanted to win. We wanted to go to the NCAA tournament. So I think it was more just like excitement. We were all amped up to play.
And Taylor, Belmont got off to a fast start, especially the bench coming in and making a ton of three-pointers. What were you thinking during the first half of that game?
I mean, it was the most up and down, high scoring first half. I think one of the most high scoring halves of the season. I think it was an exciting game. I mean, we were right there with them. I think we went in down 8 at half. But the night before, I think we were down the same exact amount. And it was a totally different game against Eastern Kentucky. I think the final score was like 52-51 or something. But it was good. We were making shots. That's always a good thing. We got to score to win. So.
Absolutely. Coach, Murray State made such a strong push late in the first half to take the lead at halftime. What was going through your mind at that point, and what was the message for your team?
Well, I was really disappointed in our lack of ability to defend. They were running the floor on us, shooting layups on us. If I remember right, I think I had Coach Ayers tell the team, talk to the team about the defensive side of it, because I said, I don't remember. I just remember saying, Coach Ayers thinks you guys can find a way to defend them. I'm not sure that I believe that. Just trying to make a point that if we didn't get better in that area, then it didn't matter how good offensively we weren't going to be able to win the game. And we were no great defensive team in the second half, but we were better, and we continued to make shots and ended up making an even game out of it.
Taylor, Belmont had a 3-point lead, and you had the ball with just over 1 minute remaining. And then the unthinkable happened.
Yep.
The ball seemed to slip out of your hands, and Coach Payne made a 3-pointer to tie the game. Then Murray State went ahead moments later. At that time, what was going through your mind?
At the time, I thought Coach Bird's going to kill me. No, I'm just kidding. But I thought I had lost the game, honestly. I remember looking over at Reese at the free throw line when they were about to take the lead and saying, like, I'm sorry. 'Cause he's a senior. This is last year. Like, I thought it was on me. And I just remember him saying, no, man, it's okay. We got plenty of time left. But, I mean, I thought I blew it. I mean, that was the worst turnover I've ever seen. It was awful. But just having, like, teammates like that to encourage you in moments of failure, it made all the difference in the world.
Coach Byrd, was there a point you were fearful that Taylor would perhaps be remembered for that turnover?
No, not really. I mean, if it had turned out that we'd lost the game and it was a big play, and then I would have thought about the effect it might have on Taylor. And I think anytime somebody makes a mistake that can be traced back to being the difference in the game, then all you got to do is support somebody like that. It's one thing to be critical of mistakes. That was a pretty bizarre turnover, but it wasn't because of bad judgment or anything else. It was a quirk in the game, and he would have had the support of everybody on the team. So, as it turned out, we didn't have to think about that. And it's too often that late game mistakes are under a microscope because there's 40 minutes played, and the turnover in the first half is a loss of possession, just like a turnover late in the game is. And there's plenty of blame to go around when you lose.
Turnovers, they happen to the best of us.
They do.
Coach, take us through that final sequence after Nick Smith misses and Murray State loses the ball out of bounds. Down 2 points, there was an option to go for 2 points and tie, or 3 points to win.
Well, they fumbled the ball out of bounds. Look at it. Talk about good fortune. That fell into our hands and out of theirs, that we got the ball back and had a chance to do something. And we set up a play for Craig to drive it and tie the game with a drive, or kick it for a 3 in case that people helped on his drive. Craig driving it to the goal is about as good a choice as we have in the whole scheme of things. Started to run the play, threw it in, started to run the play. The clock didn't start, the whistle blew, and we'd already shown our hand on that, and it just gave me more time to think about it all, and I don't know if I was just if it was a long game and I was tired or what, but I just thought, why don't we just get a good 3 off? They've got to, it's a tough defensive spot to be in, because you don't want to get beat by 3, but you don't want to give up an easy 2, and so because you don't want to give up an easy 2, a 3 might be easier to get than you think. And they defended what we did well, honestly. But we called a play that we would normally call for Nick. But I'm not the best coach in the world, but when a guy just shoots an air ball, I'm not going to call right back on him to shoot the 3. And so we kind of slid Taylor in the spot that Nick usually is in and ran the same play. And Taylor is the best player we have, and one of the best I've ever seen at getting off tough shots. He's a very good shooter, but I think he'd say Nick's probably a better horse shooter just standing there making it, or maybe a couple of other guys on our team. But no one's better at making tough shots with a hand in their face than Taylor is. So you could say, why not Craig? He's a really good shooter, but Taylor gets shots off quicker and from longer range, I think, than Craig can. So that was the choice, and I'm really fortunate that it turned out okay. and he made the shot, and certainly our team is.
Taylor, then the Bruins are ready to go and the clock malfunctions. What's going through your mind during the stoppage? The team huddles up again and discusses things.
I was just anxious to what coach was going to call next. And then when he called that play, I was really excited. I just walked off the court and I said, Lord, give me the confidence and the strength to hit this shot. And thankfully it went in. But, it was a good screen by my teammates and a good pass by Reese. But I was just anxious. I was thinking honestly too, just still like, man, if we don't win this game, like that turnover is awful. It's still awful, but it was just a great example of life, and also as well just of grace and how Coach Byrd gave me almost like another chance to make up for something that I did so poorly when just basically giving the team the other ball.
So as you retake the floor, are you mentally preparing yourself to take that shot and everything?
Yes, definitely. I was, as like if you want to be a good player, I think you have to have short memory. So whether it's good or bad, so I was moving on to the next play, and I was definitely prepared to take it. You're not gonna make it unless you shoot it. So I was just ready. I was ready to shoot it. I'm always ready to shoot. Coach knows that.
I think in basketball too, it's a live play is more reactionary. If he was going up there to shoot a free throw and that was the difference,
yeah.
it's easier for the pressure and the tension to get to a free throw shooter than it is to that. He just had to react like he does in practice every day, catch that ball and shoot it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying you can't choke it, but it's a lot more difficult too. You just got to do what you do and let it go.
Yeah, you don't have as much time to think about it. You don't have any time to think about it. It's just the repetitions that you get in practice and on your own. It's just, you got to trust that in that moment and just let it fly and see what happens.
And Coach, the hidden beauty of that play is the Reese Chamberlain pass, right on the money to Taylor, and of course the shot goes in. Can you talk about how Reese had a hand in JJ's shot to beat North Carolina and Taylor's shot to win the OVC Championship?
Yeah, well, Reese, when you go back and look at it, when we go back and we're trying to make clips of our best plays, just so we have them sort of and can look back on what we've done, you realize just how really good Reese was at delivering passes right where they needed to be. And as I look back at that play, I would tell Reese from a coaching standpoint, he really probably should have driven it a little harder and maybe created a little more help off of Taylor's man. But again, he threw it right where it needed to be, and because Taylor's so good at taking tough shots with guys in his face, the play worked. It didn't work perfectly like it can. That play can give us a wide open shot sometimes. But Reese did that, like you said, 3 straight passes against North Carolina to JJ Mann. JJ's the hero. None of that would have happened if Reese hadn't been on the front end of all that too.
And Taylor, after the shot goes in, there's still 3.2 seconds remaining. The coaching staff was totally locked in on preparing the team for Murray State's last shot.
Yeah, I remember when the shot went in, watching the replay, Coach Byrd didn't budge. He called timeout right away. And then I just remember there was still 3.2 seconds on the clock, and I was trying to just calm everyone down on the bench, like, hey, there's still quite a bit of time here left. But I remember there being like 3 or 4 timeout exchanges, and they didn't even get a shot off. So, the buzzer going off, and that was just one of the most exciting moments in my sports life for sure.
And Taylor, what was the aftermath like, the media coverage and all that?
It was cool. It was wild. I've never really experienced anything like that. I think my phone was buzzing. I had like over 300 text messages, and it was crazy. But I was just really thankful for all the support that everyone showed our team. And if it weren't for my teammates, we wouldn't have won the game. Like I try to give as much credit to my teammates because they deserve it. It wasn't about me; it's about our team and how we came together to win that game. And it was one of the best experiences we've had.
I think it's safe to say the media definitely made sure that you guys are never going to forget that moment.
For sure.
And Coach, in closing, what place does the game and that shot have in Belmont basketball history?
It's it's no worse than tied for first. You know, there's been several. I mean, the first time we ever went to the NCAA tournament, Justin Hare made a driving, old-fashioned three-point play that we never would have been there if he hadn't have made that. And then Karan Johnson makes 2 jumpers against Murray State 2 years prior to Taylor's shot to get us into an overtime and to win the game. And then that shot, you know, they're all so good in moments that some programs never get at all. And certainly some coaches can coach forever and never have any shot like that to win a game. So, you know, you better appreciate that you got a chance to be a part of that.